everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Imaginary Boys podcast. I am one of the two hosts, Mr. Habanero, and I have my other good friend over here, just like I always do, Mr. Lettuce. How are you doing today, Mr. Lettuce?
I'm doing great.
Nice. Oh, so before we jump into anything, how's your week been, man? How's your week been?
They are downsizing my office because I'm only there once a week now.
I see.
So
are you primarily working from home now?
Oh yeah. I'm
That's
primarily
awesome.
working from home now. So that they're trying to downsize my office. So I've been working to get a lot of like junk surplus that I've been meaning to get recycled off to the recyclers, patch some stuff down so that it could be stored easier and stuff like that. So, and doing a little bit of a deep cleaning to my office. So
nice. Yeah, I want to be full-time at home as well. I mean, obviously I can't do that currently, but I'm slowly making my way there. I dream of, first of all, living in my dream home, but on top of that being 100% just like self-sustaining, like living at home all the time and you know, working from home, and that's my dream, man. That's my dream. That's what I want to do.
Are you following it?
All the time. What are you talking about? Dude, I am following my dreams every single goddamn day of my life.
Okay. Just got to make sure, because I mean, some people, when they talk the big game about following your dreams, you know, it's a rule for me and not a rule for thee and not for me type deal.
Oh no, like that's the thing of why I say that, is because I am always trying to constantly work on that, like every single day. Like, I mean, you know, like I always feel like that every day I'm trying to take a step in that direction. And I mean, and like one of the things too is that like when I say that, I recognize that, you know, not everybody wants to actively do that, as weird as it sounds. Like, people are like, well, I want to be that way, but I can't. And it's like, well, you know, it may sound weird, but when I say that out loud, it's actually encouragement for myself a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, legitimately. Like, every time I say, like, guys, go out there and follow your dreams, I'm legitimately saying that to actually keep myself in line with that idea. Dead serious. Like, I do that every single time to remind myself, like, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going. You know, I want to chase my dreams. I want to be happy and be the person that I've always wanted to be. But I also genuinely hope that when I say it, that, you know, people can see that that's something I'm trying to do, and they can use that as encouragement to put it upon themselves and become that kind of person as well. So that's 100% true. Like, in fact, actually, you know, following your dreams was actually something that was, that concept was passed down to me when I was going through some therapy for a while. And because I actually used to be really, really depressed and believed that I just was designed and to live a life of where, you know, I just do like a 9 to 5 and I can't be anything that I ever wanted to be as a kid, you know? And I was very miserable and very sad. And, you know, I started going through therapy, and somebody very close to me at that time basically was like, you know, if you really put your mind to it and you work really hard, you can literally do anything you want. Like, you can follow your dreams. You just have to, you know that you can do it and actually put in that effort to actually get it done, you know? And as weird as it sounds, that was something that was legitimately life-changing for me at that time. And that's why it literally put my whole life in a different direction than it is right now. I mean, than it was back then is what I meant to say. So, because I used to be much more unhappy and depressed before I started getting really involved with all this stuff that I'm doing now. So, but yeah, anyways.
I get you.
Yeah. What?
I get you.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of the origin of why I say that all the time, a little bit there. But anyways, I really wanted to talk about today, because there are a few things that kind of made me think about it. I wanted to talk about movies and television today. And the main thing was I have seen some videos pop into my YouTube feed. I'll be honest, a lot of the time I get my ideas for discussion on the podcast because of what pops in my YouTube feed. But I saw some YouTube videos pop up recently in my feed that are all talking about the whole mess involving Kevin Smith and the Masters of the Universe series that he started. Now, I haven't actually seen the Masters of the Universe series that he's done. I've never personally been a fan of He-Man or She-Ra or Masters of the Universe or any of that stuff. I don't know anything about it. But having, watched some of those videos about what's going on with that, made me realize, I've wanted to talk about movies and television, because I have some pretty strong opinions about movies and television these days, specifically live action stuff. Like anything that is produced in Hollywood, anything that's primarily live action with like actors and actresses. I kind of, put my nose up in the air against it. And like every time I see a preview for a movie that comes on, an advertisement for YouTube or whatever, like I'm just like, wow, that sounds terrible. Wow, I'm not going to go see that. Wow, I'm not going to spend like, $30 or $40 to go to a movie theater and see that. Like it sounds like it's a waste of my time, and it sounds like a waste of my money, and I don't care, and I don't want to be a part of it. So that's kind of what I mean, that's kind of a basic breakdown, but like I wanted to definitely talk about it today. So do you go out and really go to theaters and see movies or anything like that anymore? Is that something you really do? I mean, ignoring that we're coming out of the pandemic, like, is that something you used to do a lot or still try to do relatively, or anything like that?
Well, it's kind of hard to remove my current mentality from the pandemic mentality.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah. So my answer to that question would be, I would never offhand just oppose an idea of going to a movie theater and watching a movie, especially if it's a movie like I'm even halfway interested in. It's been years since I've heard of something coming out that I was even remotely interested in.
Agreed. I agree with you on that. Like, I feel the same way, is what I'm saying.
Like, so if I was interested in something, like the last thing I was interested in was probably,
if you say a Marvel film, I swear to God.
No, it's the Avenger. It's
of course,
the Last Avenger.
Yeah, it's a Marvel film, right? Ugh.
Well, the thing is like I got into them.
No, I don't blame you. It's okay. I'm just saying. I just knew.
They're not bad.
It's one of those things that I knew. I was like, he's gonna say he's gonna say a Marvel film. It's gonna be a Marvel film.
Yeah, it was the Avengers of Infinity War.
Yeah, I didn't. Wait, was Infinity War Part 1 or Part 2?
I believe whatever the Part 2 one was.
Okay, I saw Part 1. I didn't see Part 2.
I saw Part 1.
Yeah.
I saw Part 1, and there was no way I wasn't going to see Part 2.
Right.
The thing is like all the Marvel movies coming out like around that time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had no interest in Black Panther. I had no interest in Captain Marvel.
Sure.
Even ignoring all the the outside stuff of it. These were never characters that I was never like really invested in.
Right. I think that's reasonable. I think that it's like, well, I don't care about this comic book character or any of the stories they're involved with, so why would I go see a movie about them? I get that. I think that makes perfect sense.
Like if they could give us a Thor movie that it was half as good as Ragnarok.
I never saw Ragnarok.
Ragnarok was probably the best Marvel film in like the past 5 years.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I have my own opinions about what I think is the best Marvel film.
Iron Man was great.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 2 was okay. The Avengers was okay. Avengers 2, not so much. And then like the parts between Avengers 2 and the two-part Avengers 3
mm-hmm.
is where things were kind of hit and miss. Captain America: Civil War.
Okay. So I
didn't hate Civil War,
right?
And I really liked Spider-Man in Civil War, which sold me on that Spider-Man movie.
Right. So I have a really controversial opinion that lots of people love to disagree with me on. And you brought about Marvel films, and that is, I personally think that the best Marvel film that I've ever seen is actually Captain America: Civil War. I think it's the best one. It's like, and I have reasons. I have good reasons.
I want to hear your reasons, because I have Civil War at like number 2.
Number 2 is in like the second best, or number 2 is in like a low number?
No, I have Civil War as the second best.
Okay. So, in my opinion, Civil War is the best Marvel film because, first of all, it has the best villain I've ever seen in a Marvel film, Helmut Zemo. And it's the character that he plays. Like, I don't care what Helmut Zemo did or what he was in the comic books. In the movie, they encapsulated one of the single best designed villains I've ever seen in a movie, which is simply that, like, by the way, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Captain America: Civil War, Helmut Zemo is an innocent bystander that had his entire life destroyed in the process of a catastrophic event that was created unintentionally by the Avengers. And the whole thing is that since his whole life was destroyed by that one catastrophic event, like he literally lost everything he cared about, he was basically the kind of villain that was like, I was a normal human bystander that, you know, didn't really care about causing trouble or doing anything wrong or doing whatever. But because I've lost everything, I want to get my revenge, and I will, and I'm not afraid. Like, I have the opportunity to just sacrifice everything to get that revenge. Like, he didn't care about dying. He didn't care about, you know, anything. Because he lost everything already. So when you lose everything, you're not afraid to sacrifice everything. And that made him a really, really cool villain. Like, I thought he was the coolest villain I've ever seen. And it's just the whole idea that he was, like, a normal, innocent human being who didn't care about, you know, oh, I'm going to take all the money, or, like, I'm going to blow up the planet with my giant evil laser, or, like, you know, he wasn't your stereotypical villain. He was just a normal human being caught up in a catastrophic event that he had no way to prevent in any way whatsoever, and all he wanted to do was to take out his anger on what felt like the people who caused his life to fall apart. And the coolest part about it, the coolest thing about Helmut Zemo is if you really think about that entire movie and how it ends, like, I mean, obviously things change in the other films afterwards, but encapsulated in that one film, Helmut Zemo wins.
Yes, he won.
He wins. It's beautiful. It's like he's like the perfect villain, and he also wins at the end of the film 100%. And the coolest part about it is that not only does he win, but he wins by the fact that he never did it for specifically villainous, personally, like, yes, he was personally motivated, but it's not like he was like I said, like trying to take all the money or trying to blow up the world or whatever. It was, he won, but he was also like this tiny person who got all the gears moving, and it's just, he's so cool. He's the best villain. Like, I loved him. I thought he was like, and the way that he goes off into, you know, in the future afterwards is like, you know, he kind of disappears or whatever. But he was done. He didn't need to be in any more films after that.
No. He was like, no. I agree with you. And a reason why a lot of people disagree with you is because they hate the fact that the Civil War main plot was basically an overblow of the main villain's like scheme.
Yeah.
Like because everybody was, because he's, you know, he wasn't the only person whose life was ruined by supernatural beings fighting each other.
And that actually
what everybody hates about the superhero movies, especially around this era, was everybody wanted to tell the same story of like how this destruction is bad.
Yeah.
And we're like, no. Like, yeah, no, it's bad, but you know, if we're going to have godlike creatures fighting on our side against other godlike creatures, you're going to have to scramble a few eggs to get to that omelet.
And that actually targets the second reason why I love Civil War. Legitimately. Like, you literally brought up the next reason why I love that movie, which is I love the fact that in Civil War, because they barely touch on it ever in any other Marvel film or any superhero film or any film that involves, you know, heroes saving the world or anything like that, is they never really talk about or focus on the extreme, insane amount of destruction and havoc that is caused. And Civil War is all about that. Like, literally right from the beginning of the movie, they show you the whole situation where the heroes come in and they stop the aliens and they save the day, but all the cities are torn apart, buildings fall down, people are dying, like, it's millions upon millions of dollars to fix everything, and, like, tons and tons of people are harmed or killed, and just the destruction
except for when they go out of their way to make sure that no one was harmed.
Yeah, but, well...
In the staging of this epic battle.
Yeah, well, like, for example, one thing that always made me really mad, I have a particular bone to pick with the Star Trek films. There was, when they did the Star Trek film that had Khan in it, which I thought was a terrible movie, by the way, the Star Trek...
I'm assuming you mean the new Star Trek.
The new one, yeah, not the original Khan one. No, the original Star Trek Wrath of Khan is a work of art. But I'm not trying to throw shade at that movie, because that movie, the original Wrath of Khan, is a work of art. Okay. But no, the remake that they did that had Khan played by Cumberbatch, which I thought that movie was awful. I thought that movie was absolutely awful.
I didn't think it was awful, but I'm a big fan of Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I thought it was awful.
And I thought Cumberbatch's Khan was a good idea. No, I thought it was a good casting.
Really?
I just thought that Khan was written like shit.
Oh, okay. But
like if you put Khan in the original, if you put Cumberbatch in the original Wrath of Khan, Cumberbatch plays a mean bad guy.
Well, here's my problem with picking Cumberbatch is, like, you're a fan of the original Wrath of Khan, right?
Yeah.
The way that Khan was designed as a character, and this goes as far back as the original Star Trek series where they first introduced Khan as well, because I've seen the original episode as well as the movie Wrath of Khan. The whole concept was that Khan and his people are genetically designed to be these, like, perfect human beings. That's part of their backstory, is they were genetically... They're basically superhuman people designed by other people. And the whole concept is that they're incredibly, incredibly beefy and strong and masculine. Even their women were really beefy, too, if I remember correctly. And they were just incredibly strong, muscular attractive looking people, but they were also hyper intelligent. And that's because that's all part of the idea that they were designed to be like the perfect warrior, the perfect human race. Like that was part of their backstory. They're genetically designed to be that way. And like, yeah, in the remake that they did of Wrath of Khan, I could see the idea of like, yeah, clearly Cumberbatch is hyper intelligent. Like he definitely portrays that kind of character. But is he like masculinely perfect? Like is he really that perfect muscular like warrior kind of looking character? Like, and the whole idea is like, oh, well, you know, you're just basing everything off of looks. And it's like, but that's what their characters were designed to be like. They were literally designed to be beautiful looking people who were incredibly muscular and also incredibly intelligent. They were genetically designed to be that way as characters in that storyline. So that's my problem with picking Cumberbatch, is because I just don't see him.
Ricardo Montalban, however, the original Khan,
yeah,
wasn't that buff. He wasn't much more buff than Cumberbatch is when Cumberbatch needs to be buff.
I don't know. I just remember seeing Cumberbatch as just being a scrawny little nobody, you know? Like, I like him as Holmes. I can believe that he's Sherlock Holmes. I can't believe that he's Khan, though. You know what I mean?
He's not spindly. He's got Cumberbatch has got an athleticism to him. He's not spindly. He's not an NFL linebacker by any stretch of the imagination, but he could play tight end.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought
like
it was
a lighter tight end.
I mean, Cumberbatch wasn't the reason why I hated that movie, but I just felt...
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, like Star Trek Into Darkness was just written. It was, hey, let's rehash Wrath of Khan, but let's make it terrible.
Yeah. But my reason for bringing up that in the first place when referencing Civil War is one of the things that made me so mad in that Star Trek movie was there's that big scene where they crash the gigantic, humongous, it's literally larger than the city itself. They crash that ship into the city. They destroyed tons of buildings. They probably crushed millions of people. Like, the amount of damage that ship crashing into that city probably did was probably insanely beyond catastrophic, right? And then after it happens, they don't talk about it. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about the amount of damage that occurred or the amount of money lost in the process or the amount of people dead or whatever. Like, no. And see, that's what I love about Civil War is because in Civil War, the amount of damage and people dead and money lost and all that stuff is literally a major plot point to what's going on in that story. Like, and I love that. I love that because it's recognizing the fact that, you know, like the idea that like if heroes existed or, you know, and superheroes existed and they had to fight like these, you know, superhuman aliens or whatever, like, and they're doing it on Earth, shit's gonna go down, man. Like, they're gonna blow shit up. They're gonna kill people unintentionally. Like, you know, innocent bystanders are gonna die. Like, millions of dollars are gonna be lost. Like, you know, I love that. And I love that they bring that to attention in Civil War, but, like, they never do it again. Like, I don't remember any other Marvel movie before or after that brings attention to the fact that because these superhumans are fighting these superhumans from a different planet or whatever, like, they're creating insane amounts of destruction and death in the process. And Civil War really heavily talks about that throughout. It's literally like one of the main plot points. It's literally the reason.
It is the sole plot point.
Yeah, and it's literally the reason why Helmut Zemo does what he does in that movie. Like, it's great. It's great. So that's why I believe that Civil War is the best Marvel movie. Like, that's why I think it's the best Marvel.
No. And I agree with you. My problems with it is that while it's the main plot point, I think they hammered on the destruction and stuff like that. Like, I like that they pointed it out and said, hey, real world consequences to this otherworldly problem. Mm-hmm. The problem is, like, the way that they go about it.
Yeah.
To, like, make it say, hey, we're against this, makes no sense.
What do you mean?
There is no way in the world that a civilization who has very obviously godlike beings on their side, that they can trust,
sure,
is going to feign the ability to control them, because as we saw in the movie, you don't really control them, and then go through all the trouble that they went through to, like, imprison people. And
you don't think that world powers would be attempting to do that and try to get some kind of control over? I mean, whether or not they're successful is a totally different story, obviously, because that's part of what happens in the movie. But you don't think that... What?
The goal would be complete submission,
mm-hmm,
and weaponization.
Well, yeah. So, okay.
Sanctioning and imprisonment is not how this world would have gone about it, and yet we spent way too much of the pacing saying this is what the world did in this instance, and I'm like,
So you're more on the Watchmen side. Yeah. It's okay. I'm a Watchmen fan as well. I love the book. Specifically the book, not the movie. The movie's okay. The book is a masterpiece.
But my favorite I think the best Marvel movie was actually Ragnarok.
Okay. See, because my father told me Ragnarok was... I think he told me that Ragnarok was pretty good. I haven't seen it, though. I don't know anything about it.
So, Ragnarok knows what it is and stays in its lane and does it perfectly. It's a dumb, superhero action movie with a good plot and a good storyline, and things kind of happen. And there's no kind of, like, BS Deus Ex Machina,
right?
To resolve things,
which is sometimes annoyingly normal for Marvel movies, by the way.
Oh yeah, no. That's what like the last 5 years of Marvel movies is. It's like we're just gonna dirtle in this, like, plot to try to make our demigod characters relatable to mere mortals. We're just going to dirtle in this crap, and then we're just going to pull a resolution out of our butts.
Yeah.
Ragnarok doesn't do that. Ragnarok remembers what made Iron Man such a good movie.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. It's not my favorite, but it's in my top 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, Iron Man is the reason why the Marvel Cinematic Universe exists.
Yeah, because it was so damn good.
So Ragnarok remembers what was so successful about Iron Man and sticks to it. Okay. The plot is fast paced, the action is good, and the comedy is just mwah.
Nice.
It's the comedy is good. It doesn't go into camp, except for when camp is called for.
Sure. Like, where it doesn't feel like it's forcefully put in, it's just kind of natural to what's happening.
Yeah.
I get that. So, I'll actually have to make an effort, because, like, I've had many people tell me that I should see Ragnarok, and that's, like, the only one I haven't. Like, that's the Thor movie I haven't seen. How many Thor movies are there, actually? 3 or 4?
3. I think Ragnarok was 3.
I think I've only seen the first one, and that's it. So I'll try.
Like the first two Ragnarok, like the first 2 Thor movies were trash.
I thought the first one was okay. I thought it was okay.
Thor is Marvel's Superman. It's really hard to build a movie with with dramatic points
when your
and
character can't
conflict
die.
And real conflict.
Yeah.
When your main character is a god.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem with the comic book movies is you've got, a lot of these comic book characters, they're deities. So, yeah.
Well, that's why.
So good luck opposing them, and it's why X-Men should work.
Yeah.
Because none of them have anywhere as close to absolute power, and that's why the first two X-Men movies were actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Then the writers lost the plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impossible to make a Superman movie without it being really contrived or boring.
By the way, buddy, your microphone's being a little funky.
Oh.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's cutting in and out a lot.
No, that might be my internet service. It's been weird.
Okay. It sounds like it's a tiny bit better.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. It sounds like right after I brought it up, it started to sound better.
Oh shit, he's on to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's the Marvel thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should totally see Ragnarok.
I'll look into it. So I do have to say, there's one thing that, because I used to love Marvel movies. I don't feel that way anymore at all. I actually usually just I avoid them now. But I have to kind of tell this story about what got me to that point where it's now I avoid Marvel movies, because it's really weird, because the movie that I saw that made me realize I don't like Marvel movies anymore is a movie that people love. It's a Marvel movie that people think is one of the best usually. And it's the first what is it called? Guardians of the Galaxy movie. The very first Guardians of the Galaxy movie made me realize that I don't like Marvel movies anymore. Dead serious.
Yeah, I don't understand the hype for the Guardian movies.
So, but it's really weird. This is my story about Guardians of the Galaxy. And the thing that I have to bring to attention first is that it wasn't specifically the story, the plot, or the characters, or any of that whatsoever that made me realize that I don't like Marvel movies anymore. Because it was such a weird experience that I had going to see Guardians of the Galaxy. It was the weirdest thing. So basically what's happening is I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters with my father and my stepmother, and we're all sitting there, we're watching the movie, and I'm like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know what this is, but it's a Marvel movie, so it's gonna be great, and I was hyped. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this movie, and I will never forget sitting there watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and I get halfway through the film, and I'm just waiting for that moment where I'm just happy and enjoying it and ecstatic, and I'm like, yeah, this movie's awesome, this is the best, And I get halfway through the movie, and there's not a single moment where I feel that way at all. Where I'm genuinely smiling and laughing and having a good time. I'm literally just sitting in my seat watching this movie. And I have this, I would almost describe it as an epiphany, where I'm sitting there watching this movie and I'm just thinking to myself, why am I not enjoying this? And it's I'm sitting there and I'm it's one of those moments where it's okay, number one, this is a good story. I'm paying attention to everything that's unraveling in this plot. It's a good story. It's got a good plot. It's got good development. This is a good story. But I'm not enjoying it. These characters are interesting. They're well written. They all have their own unique and individual personalities. And they all kind of do their own thing. And it's fun. It should be fun watching them interact with each other. But I'm not enjoying it. And the graphics, the CGI and the battles and the action scenes and everything, it's great. Or it should be great. But I'm not enjoying it. And it was just this weird moment where, like, I was literally in my head watching this. I was watching this movie, and I was in my head recognizing every single thing that this movie was supposedly doing right. But there was not a single moment where I felt like I was genuinely enjoying the movie. I was, like, I didn't care. I didn't care at all. And then I kind of, like, kept thinking about it deeper and deeper, and I just realized, like, and it was Guardians of the Galaxy that did this. I realized every Marvel movie is, like, the same. It's all the same. They're all following a formula. You know, like, you have to introduce your characters. You have to, like, introduce, like, what makes them special, what makes them unique. You have to kind of, like, show off their quirky personality. You have to show off that, you know, what makes them human-like. And then you have to introduce your villain, and then you have to show what makes your villain evil, and then, like, Guardians of the Galaxy was the movie that I realized where I couldn't enjoy it because I was recognizing the fact that it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And
yeah, well, I mean, so yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you didn't see Volume 2?
No. So after Guardians, here's the thing, guys. After Guardians of the Galaxy, I stopped going out of my way to see Marvel movies. That was it. There were a few that I saw after that, but it was mostly because either friends of mine dragged me to them or my family dragged me to them. And I was like, yeah, like, I'll go see a film to hang out with my friends, or yeah, I'll go see a film, you know, a Marvel film to hang out with my family. But it wasn't because I wanted to see the film, it was because I want to spend time with my friends or I want to spend time with my family. But after Guardians of the Galaxy and having that epiphany moment in the middle of the film where I just couldn't enjoy it anymore, that was like the decided moment where I was like, I don't want to see Marvel. I don't want to go out of my way for Marvel films anymore. I'm over it.
Okay. So what you ended up finding was, so Marvel is in a position where they believe, mostly because they have empirical evidence that points to this, that every franchise that they create inside their cinematic universe will be successful and will spawn multiple movies.
Right.
So they believe that the first movie of the franchise, they can pretty much just copy paste, which is why they spent time on Captain Marvel, which is why they spent time on Ant-Man and Black Panther and Doctor Strange.
Sure.
Because they're like, well, we're gonna create, annualized franchises with these properties, and but so the first movie of every set is pretty much just the same. Well, we've got to introduce our characters, we've got to introduce the plot, we got to introduce these characters, we got to introduce a bad guy, we got to do it, and it's really easy just to follow this kind of framework.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. My problem with Guardians of the Galaxy is the Guardian of the Galaxy, I felt, ruined a good story and decent characters. You
mean Marvel characters?
Yeah, decent Marvel characters.
Oh, I thought you said DC characters.
No, decent.
Okay.
Decent. Well, for Marvel anyway.
Yeah.
Decent characters with some of the worst camp comedy writing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was boring for me. Like, when I got to that point, I was bored through the entire time of watching the movie, but it wasn't until halfway when I realized all that stuff I just explained. But I couldn't enjoy it. I even told my parents, because I saw that movie with my parents, I was like, guys, I don't know about how you guys feel. Because, my dad enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was telling me about how much he enjoyed it. And I was like, I'm sorry, Dad, I love you, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I just couldn't enjoy that film. I couldn't do it. I tried. I tried. I genuinely tried to make an effort to enjoy that film, and I couldn't. I'm sorry. But, yeah. I I mean, you know, I can understand how it might have been too much for you as well. Because, like, I assume that you're saying that based on the idea. Do you know Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics or anything like that? Is that why you feel that way?
So here is the kicker.
Yeah.
I'm not a comic book nerd.
Oh, okay. All right. That's okay.
Like, I don't know. I wasn't, like, before the Iron Man movie, I wasn't a big Iron Man fan.
That's okay.
Before, you know, the 90s Batman movies, I didn't know Batman.
Okay. That's all right.
Before Christopher Reeves, I didn't know Superman all that much. I had a friend who collected Superman comics, so I knew a little bit about Superman in the comics. Mm-hmm. But the movies are my exposure to these characters.
Right. I get that.
So like a lot of the complaints, so there's some complaints where this is different. The movie character is slightly different than comic book character. I'm like, yeah.
I'm usually okay with that. Like, I usually ignore people that get upset where it's like, the comics are so much different than the movies, and this is not okay. And it's like, well, the movies are trying to tell you a different story, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
And the thing is like the difference between like the movie medium and the book medium. Mm-hmm. Like, so these are people who complain like when a book gets adapted to a film. I'm like, look, do you want every film to be The Hobbit?
Ugh. Well, but The Hobbit wasn't even accurate to the books, was it? I don't think it was.
It wasn't, but they still dragged that movie on for 3 parts.
Yeah, which was totally unnecessary. I agree. I only saw the first one, and I was like, you mean there's going to be a part 2? Screw this. I'm outie.
Yeah, I saw part 1, and they're like, yeah, we're going to have a part 2 and a part 3. I'm like, I was like, if they could have told this story, if they could have told the story in this book with a cartoon in the 70s, a single cartoon in the 70s.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to bring up. I was like, if you want to see a good adaptation of The Hobbit, go and watch the old school animated Hobbit. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, a single like one animated feature, and it does a pretty good job. Like,
I loved that film as a kid. I loved that movie.
It omits a few things for time. But the problem is yeah, some things are going to get omitted and changed for time.
Yeah.
Because if movies were written like books were written, movies would all be 6 hours long and suck.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'd be like 4 parts for like one book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. That's kind of like for example, one of the things is like I like the Watchmen movie, but it can't hold a candle to the comic book at all, not in the slightest, you know.
Never read the comic book.
Oh, dude, I gotta tell you right now, if there was one comic book that I would say that you need to read in your lifetime, it would be Watchmen. That would be the one. Like, I would tell you, I'd be okay with the fact that you never read another comic book in your entire lifespan. But if there was one that you needed to read, it's Watchmen. It's
I've read one comic book in my lifetime. I'm fine.
Okay. It's really good. Watchmen is really, really good because it is, first of all, it's Alan Moore, and who's a fantastic writer. Ignoring the fact that he does comic books, he's just an absolutely amazing writer. And Watchmen is probably the single most realistic story about what would happen if masked vigilantes were a real thing in real human society. So, like, and the thing is that there's only one actual superhero in the entire storyline, which is obviously Dr. Manhattan. But that's to kind of...
Nice blue cock.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, he's butt naked through pretty much the there's only... It's not until... Oh yeah, so what happens... Yeah, no, it's... Yeah. So what happens is in the beginning of... It's really interesting because this may sound ridiculous to you guys, but I'm dead serious. Dr. Manhattan's big blue veiny cock is actually an important part of the plot.
Well, I mean, it did get us out of Vietnam.
Well, so the thing... I'm going to go ahead and lay some spoilers on you about Watchmen that if anybody wants...
I mean, if you haven't watched a 12 or 15-year-old movie by this point, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't really go into the... I mean, they don't really kind of show the importance of Dr. Manhattan's big blue veiny cock in the movie as much as they do in the book, because it's an easy thing to miss as to why it's relevant. So the representation of Dr. Manhattan's big blue veiny cock is a representation of his loss of humanity over time. So, because what happens is, in the very beginning of the book, when he becomes Dr. Manhattan, he wears clothing. He wears like some covering over, his lower body. And
yeah, he wears like a shaggy slacks and a lab coat.
Well, over time, actually, no, he just kind of like wears like pants, and then like it kind of like changes into like a Speedo kind of thing, and then over time the Speedo gets smaller, and then eventually he's just butt naked all the time. And the representation is that his lack of, like, him covering his big blue veiny cock, him covering that is his attachment to mortality in human beings. He's trying to remind himself that he's still a human being. He's trying to, like, and being human is, being self-conscious of your nudity and being aware of that and, needing to hide it and feel shame. But what happens is, as time moves on, because he's basically immortal, and he gets older and things change, and he becomes more and more detached from reality and humanity because he's basically a god. And what happens is he starts realizing that his humanity is non-existent. And that basically, by the time that he becomes, fully aware of the fact, like, this is my life, I'm immortal, I'm a god, I am not a human being anymore, and I have no real attachment to mortality, that's when he's full-blown big blue veiny cock mode. And that's the idea of, like, why should I feel shame over my nudity? Because it doesn't matter, because I'm not a human being. And that's legitimately the plot relevance to his big blue veiny cock. It does mean something. It's not nudity for the sake of being nude. It's the representation of his loss of humanity over time, and when he finally realizes that there's no reason for him to even try to attach himself to mortality anymore. So, there you go. That's the relevance of that. Now you know, kiddos. Now you know the importance of Dr. Manhattan's big blue veiny cock. Glad I could educate you. But yeah, Watchmen's great. It's a great book. The one thing is that even though the movie is very good, they kind of destroyed the ending. The ending is a big mess to the movie. And the thing is that the ending is done in a particular way in the comic book, and it's actually extremely, extremely important why the book ends the way that it does. And the fact that they didn't do it that way in the movie loses the point of what's going on in the story. And that kind of sucks. So they still were able to kind of translate the same basic concept of why the movie ended the way that it did, but it didn't have the same importance. It didn't have the same relevance as it did in the book, because it's I don't want to I mean, despite the fact that I've already done some spoilers, I don't want to ruin the ending of the book or the movie. So if you guys haven't read Watchmen, I would recommend going out and reading it. It's kind of like, it's basically the greatest comic book ever written. Like, I'll be straight up about it. It's the single best, like, graphic novel story ever told. So go out, read it. It's totally worth your time. It's not even that difficult of a read. Just go out and bask in its glory, and it's great. So that's my spiel about Watchmen. But I totally get how that's really hard to translate into movies. And the thing is that, like, to kind of move away from Watchmen and Marvel and comic books and stuff like that a little bit, I did want to kind of talk Oh wow. Well, I'm gonna have to make this quick. I just overall feel like that movies are kind of losing their relevance because they don't care anymore. They don't care about telling a good story. They just want to blindly entertain people, and because of that, there's no depth. There's no there. You know. And I mean, do you feel like that when you see movies coming out these days? Like they're all just, I don't know, like they just don't.
The thing is
Mhm.
I kind of like the dumb entertainment though.
You do?
Like I think that's, I actually honestly believe that's what movies, like if that's the lane movies want to be in, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
The problem is they miss.
Yeah.
Oh, and they miss so hard sometimes. Just like, I don't know. It's just like, they're like, we just want to be dumb entertainment. Oh, we're going to try to flip a tiny message at you. And I'm like, if you're going to try to flip a tiny message at us, you're going to have to establish your reason for doing so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay. Well, then your meaning has no impact and I'm not entertained anymore.
Yeah, because they took you out of it, right? They pulled you out of what was entertaining to tell you something, and then whatever they told you,
they didn't provide anything that was truly entertaining. Halfway through it, they're like, and then like 3/4 of the way through it, they're like, oh, by the way, now you're gonna have to eat your veggies, and I'm like, I'm not here to eat veggies. I'm here to eat candy and drink soda.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I don't know, like because like I'll admit I've been kind of lazy about reading lately, just reading good books, and but I read a couple of really good books up until pretty recently, and
I
the
am
thing
100% illiterate.
that's okay, man. I just don't have time for it as much as I used to. Like I used to read, especially on my work breaks, and now my work breaks are different than what they used to be, so I don't really have time to read. And then when I'm at home, I don't have time to read because I'm, editing or recording or whatever. So reading is kind of fell to the sidelines.
My 10th grade English teacher killed reading for me.
Oh, that sucks. You just gotta you gotta find a book that's just really good. That's.
I mean, the thing is I've read them already.
Oh, I see. It's just like I would rather read a really good book than to watch a shitty movie because I do like entertainment for the sake of entertainment, but I also like my brain to be stimulated in some fashion. I like to think about what I'm watching. I like to understand I like it when my brain has to process something that I'm enjoying. I have to because even on YouTube, I watch science videos and stuff like that, talking about why insects are doing certain things, or watching theories about video games or movies or stuff like that. Or I watch a lot of stuff that's entertaining, but also it's giving my brain something to process and understand. And it's if I can't get that out of my media, my visual media, like my movies or my television, then I'll seek it in a book or something, So I just have a really rough time of going to see, a movie that's turn your brain off, and just enjoy the ride. And it's yeah, but I'm not an ADHD person, but my brain likes to be doing something. And if that something is processing what a movie is trying to tell me, then that's entertaining for me, for my brain. And just throwing wild stupidity and explosions and action I love a good fight scene. I love a bunch of action and explosions, but I also the process of what does the plot mean? Why are the characters motivated? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? Why is the villain being the way that he is? I like that stuff. My brain wants to do something while my eyes are absorbing the raw entertainment, So that's just kind of how I function. But that's why I can't go out and really see movies anymore, is because there's no there for me. And it's it's fine because I save a lot of money by not going and seeing a shitty movie. So, But I just...
Oh yeah, no, that's
Hmm.
that's the upshot. It's like, if Hollywood isn't going to produce anything I want, then I'm not spending $25 a pop to eat their shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can just stay home, pop on YouTube, watch some, well, whatever random stuff I decide to watch.
Yeah.
And that's actually good enough for me. Like, you mentioned YouTube, and like I watch a lot of tech YouTubers because of my job. I like to stay up to date on that. If I'm reading anything, it's usually tech papers and manuals.
Then what are you talking about? You're illiterate. You clearly are going out of your... Like, just because it's not, like, in book fashion doesn't mean you're not, reading something that is, like, appealing to you and entertaining to you. Like I love nonfiction, too. I do. I can read, like, college textbooks depending on what their material is. I had a long time of just enjoying reading biology textbooks and history books. So, like, just because it's nonfiction doesn't mean it's not a good book. And also, like, even if you're going online and reading, like, a set of articles that are all about, tech and the specs of that tech and, like, the interesting information behind how it functions and all that stuff, you're getting something out of it. Like, you are literate, you are reading, like, and that's good, man. That's good. So you're not illiterate. Come on, man. Give yourself some credit. Come on, man. You're a smart man, Mr. Lettuce.
Don't tell them.
Well, there's no reason to be embarrassed, man. Come on, man.
No, my brilliance has become a burden.
He's too intelligent for his own good. It's destroying him.
Well, I mean, it becomes a burden. People expect you to share that brilliance, and I just don't like people in general.
Dude, yeah.
So I'm like,
I get that. I've talked about it before. I'm not a very sociable person in my regular day-to-day life. I'm very sociable when I'm online, like talking with you, talking with my wonderful people who want to come in and hang out with my streams, and the people who interact with my content. Like, I love you guys. I love, talking with you guys and spending time with you guys. If I'm outside around people, I'm quiet, man. I don't like chit-chatting. I don't like idle chat. I sit alone in the break room because I just kind of want to be on my own and do my own thing and sit there quietly and, It's not because it's not that I can't stand interactions with people or anything like that. It's just I prefer to not engage. I don't know.
Yeah, all the people listening to this, I love you guys. You're amazing.
Yeah, clearly.
But I love your mothers more.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's kind of a little. I don't know if that's. Lettuce. I'm thinking that might be too hot for this podcast. I'm a little concerned, buddy. We might have to.
Oh,
we might have to.
Down. Calm down there, man.
We might have to censor that out, buddy. I'll put a nice big fat bruh right there for you.
Bruh. I guess.
All right, buddy. Well, we do actually have to wrap it up. But do you have any parting thoughts before we put this one away, put this one to bed?
Yeah, no. It's just I've gotten to that age where all the stuff that's being made now in entertainment, I don't understand it, and it's all stupid to me. So
yeah, I get it.
I crawl in my hole and I watch my YouTubes, and I make my podcast with my adorably sweet guy friend, and
thank you.
Not a mean bone in your body yet.
Not yet, yeah. I don't know how to be mean. I'm sorry. I can be dismissive. I can be ambivalent, but I don't know how to be mean. It doesn't work for me.
You'll learn.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm just too sweet and too cute for my own good, I suppose. Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, because, like, I really have a hard time with movies and like, I very specifically target live action a lot. I mean, like, I like watching my YouTube videos with, the people that I enjoy watching do what they're doing. But, like, if it's, like, a live-action television or a live-action movie with actors and actresses, it's just, like, it feels like there's pretty much nothing there for me anymore. So I'm pretty much, like...
Which is why you should stick to the animations.
I was literally just about to say, like, the one thing that, I'm comfortable with YouTube, and I'm comfortable with my anime boobies. So I'll happily stick to those for quite some time. And
you should totally watch The Last Airbender.
Last Airbender. Yeah, I brought it up.
Not the movie. Not the movie.
Yeah, no M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
No M. Night Shyamalan.
I don't know if you did that on purpose, but that was perfect.
Yeah, that's my name for him, M. Night Shyamalan.
It was so perfect. I don't think you realized what happened, but when you did that, your voice in your microphone went out of control, and it sounded like a tiny mouse squeak. It was so perfectly timed, man.
Yeah, you're home. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but Legend of Korra, like, I suggest watching Legend of Korra first.
Okay.
Because you are definitely going to love the original series. Mm-hmm. And then Legend of Korra is just going to rub you the wrong way.
All right. So watch the terrible one and then watch the good one is what you're saying?
No, it's watch the good one and then watch the amazingly great one.
Ah, okay. All right.
Like in the vacuum by itself.
Yeah.
The Legend of Korra is a great series.
Okay. But it's like trying to fill in bigger shoes, basically.
Yeah, all the Avatar fans who remember Avatar is like, it's not so great.
Yeah,
it's not as good, and they're right. It's not as good. It's different.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 years in the future, and the world has changed, and the situations are different. But they still tell a good story, and it's still beautifully animated. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely worth your time. It's just if you watch the first one, the caveat of in a vacuum just can't exist anymore.
Yeah. I'll see if I can look into it. I think that because I have 2 streaming sites I use for watching anime, and I think at least one of them, if not both of them, have Avatar: The Last Airbender on it. So I'll look into it. I'll look into it.
It used to be like as of like 6 months ago, it was on Netflix. So.
Yeah. It's just that, like, the one thing that I get concerned about is that it's a kid's animation. So, like, how am I going to get my anime boobies fix? Am I going to get my anime boobies fix from Avatar: The Last Airbender? Is that going to be a thing that'll happen?
Anime boobies?
Yeah.
Dude. They're minors.
I know, but that's my point.
They're minors.
That's my point, though, is that Avatar: The Last Airbender is not going to have like anime boobies in it. And
okay, fine. So you don't watch it for the. So this is the one. So this is the one Korean animation show.
Yeah.
Where you don't watch it for the boobies. Then just after you're watching it and you're like, man, this is some pretty good stuff. What you do is you go and you download some of that tentacle hentai and you just go to town on it.
Man, you know me so well, don't you?
I mean, there's a reason why we're friends, right?
Clearly. I was literally about to say I'll watch like 2 episodes of Avatar and then switch over into some anime boobies and then come back to Avatar for another 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, that's how you have to do it.
It'll work, guys. It'll work. I'll get my anime boobie fix yet. I do actually have to say I've been off of my anime lately. I haven't been watching a lot of anime recently, so but I am thinking about coming back to it. It looks like there's a couple of good shows that are going to be coming out for this next season that I might have to come back and watch more anime again and get into it. So I'm really excited for Chainsaw Man. I gotta say that before we go, guys. If you haven't seen the preview yet for Chainsaw Man, so I've never read Chainsaw Man. Everybody says it's amazing. It's an amazing manga. And you know, it's this big deal, and people are saying you have to read it before you see it. I'm probably not going to read it. I'm sorry, guys, for all you Chainsaw fans that may be out there that demand that I should read it. I'm probably not going to read it, but I saw that preview and all the hype surrounding it, and also the amazing creators of the show that are being put on to make Chainsaw Man. It looks like it's going to be amazing, so I will definitely be there to watch the Chainsaw Man series when it comes out. I'm very curious about it, and I'm excited to see what's going on. I've had some Power looks like an interesting character. I've heard people describe the character of Power as being a female Eric Cartman, so I'm very curious about how that's going to go. Like, imagine Eric Cartman, but being like a sexy demon lady. That's apparently what is supposed to be Power in Chainsaw Man. So I'm curious about how that's going to be. Anyway, yeah. So, anyways, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. I also need to remember, because I forgot in the last podcast to do all of my proper outros and shout-outs. I apologize to all of my wonderful people. I should have remembered to do that, and I totally forgot, and I didn't realize it until just now that... Well, actually, I realized it a few days ago. But I'm going to do the shout-outs here and all that special stuff. So, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. Go down below. Leave a comment. Tell me about anime boobies. Tell me about your favorite Marvel film. I'd prefer anime boobies. Do all that stuff in the comments section. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Do it. Subscribe for the anime boobies. There you go. Go ahead and subscribe for anime boobies and all that is glorious and wonderful, such as anime boobies.
My name is Anime.
Yeah, and my name is Boobies. Hit that notification bell if you haven't done it already. It'll let you know when I'm gonna produce content or like this or do a stream or whatever it is the hell that I feel like I'm doing at any given time. Check in the description below for all the wonderful links, such as Streamlabs and PayPal links. All donations are greatly appreciated. They go straight towards the channel and producing wonderful materials such as this. And also, I'd love to give a wonderful shout out to my wonderful Patreon members, which includes my good friend right here, Mr. Lettuce, who is doing this podcast with me. It also includes Mr. Bo Falcon, Fajouk Enterprises, James P., Miss Rebecca, as well as Scorpageist. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for donating on a regular basis. Everything that you guys send to me to help me out with the channel is just incredibly appreciated and allows me to make wonderful content with my wonderful friend Mr. Lettuce here on a regular basis. So thank you so much. Follow your dreams, and the last thing is, guys, we have been the Imaginary Boys. Goodbye.